it's time to talk business. The Central Bank of Nigeria is targeting a stronger digital economy to support the growth of the financial systems. This is even as the digital currency e-Naira has now recorded a 190.1% growth in transactions relative to its level when it was launched on October 25, 2021. Deputy Governor Economic Policy of the Apex Bank, Dr. Kingsley Obiora, made the revelation yesterday. Dr. Obiora said the volume of the e-Naira in circulation was 2.10 billion naira, with 3,320 merchants successfully registered on the platform across the country. And power generation on the national grid has now increased by 834.8 megawatts between Monday and Wednesday morning, hitting a high of 4,863.7 megawatts as at 6 a.m. on Wednesday. Data obtained from the Abuja headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Power shows that the grid recorded an off-peak power generation of 4,028.9 megawatts on Monday. The energy generated on Monday was put at 103,049.22 megawatts hour, while what was sent out on the same day was about 101,864.04 megawatts per hour. All the figures moved up on Tuesday as both off-peak and peak power generation were 4,182.3 megawatts and 4,803 megawatts respectively. And away from the power sector, smuggling under any guise is economic sabotage and a crime against Nigerian law. Federal Operations Unit Zone A's acting controller made the submission while reviewing October's activities for the command. TVC News correspondent Ifunanya Eze tells us more.
Given current security concerns, why would someone import thousands of machetes into the country without an end-user certificate? Customs Federal Operations Unit Zone A is concerned about this after operatives seized an enormous amount of cutlasses around the Ogun State border area.
This is election period now, and we need to fortify the nation. We need to ensure that items that could be of dangerous circumstance is not being brought in. You can imagine somebody bringing in this. Only God knows if it is for trade. He should have known what to do directly. But since it is the way and manner he has been doing it, or maybe he's about to do it, we are yet to know. You must have an EUC, just like somebody bringing in bulletproof vehicle now. The same thing as this. EUC, end user certificate, and it is being issued from the Office of the National Security Advisor.
Among the prohibited controlled goods seized along the southwest border and port corridors were more than 7,000 bags of parboiled foreign rice, the equivalent of 12 trailer loads, dozens of cigarettes, compressed cannabis sativa, bales of used clothes and containers laden with charcoal destined for export, all worth more than 671.6 million naira. In his warning, the comptroller stresses his resolute stance on enforcing compliance.
Since it is Yuletide season, there's virtually nothing they cannot do, and we too, we are ready to stick out our neck because that is what we signed for. The law is sacrosanct. The law is no respecter of person. If you have contraband inside that container, SEMA Section 46 is there, because I know it must have been falsely declared. And whatever that is falsely declared will be taken and seized outright, and the person prosecuted.
He reveals that the cumulative recovery within the period under review amounts to 42.3 million naira. He says 15 containers are under detention for various infractions, while 11 suspects are under investigation for some of the seizures recorded. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Activities. The first international conference on additive manufacturing has provided the landscape for stakeholders, including governments, industry, academia, and international collaborators to work together for the promotion and growth of the additive manufacturing in the country. The conference, which held late in September, focused on innovation in the manufacturing, and the objective is to enable stakeholders chart a way forward and leverage on global trends in the domestication and policy formulation and adoption of additive manufacturing by industries here in the country. The chairman of the Additive Manufacturing Group, Professor Funsho Falade, speaks on some observations.
The necessary know-how is developed in case studies and passed to SMEs within the framework of technology transfer. D, all SMEs can significantly increase their competitiveness and achieve sustainable business success. E, additive manufacturing offers huge opportunity for rapid industrialization of Nigeria in view of its innumerable potentials that can enable our country to leapfrog into the fourth industrial revolutions. If AM can help solve increasing youth resistiveness across the country due to its unique potential for youth empowerment and wealth creation in recognition of its wide application across all manufacturing sectors.
Let's turn to global markets now, as Asian stock markets are trading mostly lower today following the broadly negative cues from global markets overnight. As traders remain concerned about the outlook for interest rates and reacted to the U.S. Federal Reserve's monetary policy announcement and subsequent comments by Fed Chair Mr. Jerome Powell. The major averages initially reacted positively to the Fed's statement but pulled back sharply going into the close of trading. The Dow Jones slumped with 1.6%, the Nasdaq plunged at 3.4%, and the S&P 500 tumbled at 2%. And the major European markets also moved to the downside on the day, while the French CAC 40 index slid by 0.8%. The German DAX index also and the UK's FTSE Futures 100 index both fell at 0.6%. Meanwhile, Russia says it will rejoin a UN-backed agreement to allow exports of grain from Ukraine via a safe Black Sea corridor, with shipments expected to resume. Russia's defense ministry confirmed that Moscow would again participate, said it had received, quote, sufficient guarantees from Kyiv that it would not use the maritime corridor for military operations against Russia. And Russia considers that the received guarantees are, at the moment, sufficient, and is resuming the implementation of the agreement. And Turkish President Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan said earlier that Russian Defense Minister Mr. Sergei Shoigu had told his Turkish counterpart that the grain deal brokered by Turkey and the United Nations will continue to operate as of midday on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Russian ruble hit a more than 2-week low against the dollar in early trade on Thursday as global oil prices slipped after the Federal Reserve raised interest rate hikes, and expectations of more tightening set the stage for further firming of the U.S. currency. Well, the Fed lifted interest rates by 0.75 of a percentage point on Wednesday as expected, and said its battle against inflation will require borrowing costs to rise further. The ruble was 0.7% weaker against the dollar at 62.20, earlier sliding to its weakest mark since October 17. The Russian currency had gained 0.4% against the euro to 60.91. It had shed 0.3% against the yuan to 8.43. Let's wrap things off now with oil prices on the international market as it slipped today as U.S. interest rate hike again pushed up the dollar and increased fears of a global recession that would crimp fuel demand, although losses were capped by concerns over tight supply. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude slides today to sell at $88.69 per barrel, with a price decline of 1.46%. Brent crude futures also fell to sell at $95.05 per barrel, with a downward price review of 1.15%. Bonny Light experiences an uptick of 1.35%, selling at $97.14 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are selling for $94.43 per barrel, with an upward price review of 1.35%.